Good afternoon, everyone. We are going to conduct some business while everybody's having lunch. Please continue to have lunch, but if you would keep the conversation down, we would appreciate it. I'm Jeff Brady of Brady Chapman Holland in Houston, Texas, and the incoming chair of your association. I first of all want to extend my thanks to all of you for coming and making this conference and trade show a success. How did we do? Venues like this bring out a tremendous number of folks, but also creates a lot of distractions and families that are down in the lazy river right now. So during the lunch, we will conduct our annual business meeting, and then we'll have the pleasure of hearing from a keynote speaker, followed by 2 award presentations, the Page Island Political Action Award and the Drex Foreman Award. You'll see a program at your tables that includes information about those awards. I'd like to extend congratulations to 2 winners that won awards yesterday. One, Christine Davis of TexCap. She is not able to be with us, but she won the 2018 Account Manager of the Year Award. And Billy Crocker of Higginbotham in Austin, that was tied up in a session, is going to come up and receive his award that all of you heard about yesterday.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. You want a photo op?
Yeah, we'll do. We got it.
Congratulations. Thanks. Just want to say I've got a great team back in Austin. I look forward to sharing this with them. So thank you guys very much.
Before we begin with the business meeting, I'd like to express our gratitude to our sponsors who allow us to put on the best conference and trade show in the industry. First, let me thank Union Standard for sponsoring this lunch. Is there someone from Union Standard here that can be recognized? Thank you for sponsoring this lunch. I'd also like to give special recognition to our lead underwriters. As I announce your name, would a representative please stand and remain standing for just a few minutes? Union Standard, Texas Mutual, United Fire Group, Allied Trust, Central Insurance Company, Service Lloyds, Republic Group, AmTrust North America, Liberty Mutual Insurance, Safeco Insurance, Travelers, State Auto, Capstone Associated Services, and our newest lead underwriter, Nationwide. Thank you all. I'd also like to recognize some of our past president and past chairmen that are with us. Would all of you please rise and be recognized for your past service to this wonderful association? Thank you. Now I'd like to call the business meeting to order. Service on the IIAT Board of Directors requires a commitment of at least 3 years. Directors spend at least 15 days out of their office each year volunteering to respond to member needs and strategic initiatives of our association. It is at this meeting that we recognize those directors retiring from the board, though not from service to your organization. I've sincerely enjoyed my time in association with them on the board and thank them for their service. Matt Frierson, are you here? Cynthia Cabaza and Travis McDavid. Thank you all. We also have our outgoing past chairman, who I'm going to ask to join me up here now. This is a person that has given 7 years of his life to this association, and this is his last meeting. Peter, thank you for your leadership and commitment to our organization. Thank you.
Volunteer Development Committee would like to nominate the following agents to the Board of Directors. Josh Andrew Jack with Boley Featherston Insurance in Wichita Falls. Pete Bibby with Bibby Brilling and Associates, LP in Dallas. Jim McNeil with McNeil Insurance Agency in Nederland. And Jason Rollo with Rollo Insurance Group in College Station. Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of this report and election of these new directors.
Do we have a second? Thank you. Any other nominations from the floor? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes carry. Thank you, new directors, and we appreciate you coming on and helping our association.
With us this morning is Tim Brady, the father of our incoming chairman, and Tim is going to induct the new officers. So, Tim, would you please come to the podium?
Good afternoon. First of all, for all of the dads in the audience, I say Happy Father's Day. I hope this convention, please. I hope this convention was the start of a great weekend for all of you. I've been asked to keep it under an hour, so I'll do my best. Only kidding. First of all, this is a huge honor. I'm very proud for Jeff to have selected me to do his installation. 22 years ago, I was in his position when I was being installed as president of our association. At the time, it was president. And lots of memories. We've been part of the association for about 35 years, which is the length of time BCH is celebrating. We're celebrating our 35th anniversary this year. Of those 35 years, Jeff has been very much part of it for the past 33. Back quite a few years ago, I don't remember who it was now, but someone suggested to me, they said, Tim, you know what? In this business, you're good. But I think Jeff may be better. And they were right. He's been doing a great job. Very proud. One memorabilia story, if I may, goes back. Many of you know Matt Berry. And if you haven't met him, if you have the opportunity, you should. He's one great guy, great storyteller, but the worst joke teller you have ever heard in your life. It's awful. Anyway, he was being installed by an attorney that was with TDI. I don't remember his name either. But the attorney had made had said a few attorney stories before the installation. And so when Matt got up there, in spite of being restricted, stick with the script, he said, well, since, huh? I gotta get this one in. So, I guess there's a message there, huh? So anyway, he said, I've got to tell one attorney story. And the question is, what's the difference between a dead skunk in the road and a dead attorney in the road? And the difference is that the skunk has skid marks in front of it. Okay? That's the story. Matt gets up there, he said, I got to just tell you one story. He said, do you know why there were skid marks in front of the dead skunk in the road? Those of us that knew the story absolutely died laughing. Matt, you're on your own. Anyway, enough of that. All right. It's time. This morning, we'll be installing officers for the 2018-19 year, and will the following please join me on stage? Jeff Brady. Oh, they're both on stage. Will you go sit down first so I can have you come up on stage? The incoming Mark Ray is the chair-elect with Borden. Jeff is the incoming chair with BCH in Houston. Borden is in Corpus Christi. There's another officer who's the vice chair, Robert Nishi, from Nishi Group in Giddings, but he could not join us today. So, please raise your right hands. In accordance with the Constitution and the bylaws of the Independent Insurance Agents of Texas, will you solemnly and sincerely promise that you will uphold and administer the offices to which you have been elected to the best of your abilities and judgment? Will you, in all your acts, be governed by the principles of honesty, justice, and fair play? And will you, in every manner possible, promote and safeguard the high purpose of your association and the welfare of the members? I do. By virtue of the authority conferred upon me, I do hereby proclaim you to be officially installed as officers of the Board of Directors of Independent Insurance Agents of Texas. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. And Mark, I'll enjoy continuing working with you and Robert, and actually Rick, who was going to be conducting this meeting. He will still be with us for the next year, taking Peter's position. So I'm honored and humbled to serve as the chairman of this fine association. We've got lots of wonderful people that have been the stewards and driven our association in the direction, and I'm honored, truly honored and humbled. This is a volunteer position, which means it's unpaid, so I am going to take just a little bit of liberty of give myself a stipend while I've got the microphone and make a few introductions and comments. So first of all, I want to introduce some folks that are here that are near and dear to me in my life. The love of my life and my partner of over 35 years, my wife Stephanie. My mother, Virginia Ponder. You've met my dad already and his wife Sally. My sister Jan, who is our chief bean counter back at the agency, and our COO, and her husband Rick. My sister Lindsay, my oldest son Jake, who is the father of our oldest granddaughter, Joanna, who could not join us today. Jake is also in the family business, but not the family insurance business. He helps us run our ranch where we are attempting to raise animals to try and help pay the bills. My youngest son, Tim, who is in the insurance business and is a risk advisor for us and an equity partner, and his wife, Susan. They blessed us with 3 grandchildren. Brewer, who will be 6 in a few weeks. Blake, who just turned 4. And Bradley, who has just turned 2. We refer to them as the 3 Bs. And Brewer, would you come up here on stage and hold my hand so that I'm not scared while I finish my comments? Would you do that for me? Thank you. Come on over here. Come on over here. Thank you. Thank you. Several of my business partners, associates, and who I call friends have also come to support me in this role. Cheryl Sanders is our Director of Client Services and Carrier Relations. Her husband, Michael, and their son, Matthew, is also here. Thank you. Michael Inman, I'm pretty sure I saw here. Michael is our Director of Sales and Sales Coach. I've got 4 of our risk advisors that are also equity partners with us: Kelly Gerland, Mark Bauer, Dennis Descant, and Kevin Comiskey. Mickey Comiskey, did Mickey come in the door? I haven't seen Mickey. Mickey is here. Mickey runs our sister operation that does our personal insurance specialization that we operate under a different name. Mickey, thank you for being here. John O'Sullivan is our vice president and my right hand, and actually while I'm off doing this takes care of customers for me. And Christy Gray, my administrative assistant. Thank you all. I really appreciate the support and that you give me so that I can give back to this fine industry. Now just a couple comments. And I actually had thought of these comments before I saw our speaker this morning, who is going to be our speaker in just a few minutes. And some of it, I think, ties to what it might be his message. Change. Change is the only constant that I have known in my 33 years in this business. Change is coming faster and faster. When I came into this industry, into a newly formed agency, we had a telex machine and a mainframe computer system. They came along asking us to buy fax machines. We didn't know why we needed one. And today, all of those items we all carry around in our shirt pocket, right? All of the stuff that we had. Those changes are going to continue. While change is constant and coming faster and faster each year, month, day, and minute, your association embraces how we can help you navigate and capitalize on the changes that face you. We are also grounded in one primary belief. That is that people and relationships are the background of our industry and will be forever. Whether you're on the front lines of helping your agency identify, manage, transfer, and finance the risks that you or your clients take, or you're the manufacturer of the products that back up those promises. Thanks, buddy. Or you provide a service in some chain of those events. People do business with people. People they like and people they trust. How you differentiate your products, your services, your values are table stakes today, and those are the expectations that any of our clients expect. By and large, the people who embrace the value of the independent agency system will make their decisions based on relationships. For those of you that were with us yesterday and heard the story from one of Billy's customers, that's exactly what the message was. That Billy came in and listened to their needs, didn't come tell them what they needed. We as an association need you to like and trust what we do for you. Our association was founded on the principles of independence, innovation, consumer interest, and expertise. We're guided by our mission to create channel value for you, legislative and regulatory advocacy, through innovative concepts and solutions while promoting professionalism in everything we do. Our organization is led by volunteers who set the strategies and an amazing staff who executes them. While I commit to you that your association will give 100% to these guiding principles, we need you to give 100% back to your association. Don't wait to be asked, raise your hand. In the words of a famous man that we lost in Dallas, Texas in the early 60s, ask not what your association can do for you, but what you can do for your association. God bless you. God bless this association and the state of Texas. Thank you. You got it? Thank you. Come on, buddy. Thank you.
With there being no further business before this body, our business meeting stands adjourned. Thank you for your attention and enjoy your meal. In a minute, we'll hear from our featured speaker, Marcus Sheridan. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium our special guest speaker, the sales lion, Marcus Sheridan.
All right. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. I saw like 30 of you this morning. The rest of you were sleeping in still, but we got you now. And we're happy that you're here to talk about a conversation, a subject that's really had a big impact on my life. And of course, it's having a big impact on yours as well. So I want to start with this number in this phrase right here, because I think this is the biggest shift that's happened to businesses in the last 100 years. And that's this phrase, 0 moment of truth, and this number 70%. Okay, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So 0 moment of truth is the first time a prospect contacts you and you know they exist. That's what it is. So in other words, it's the moment that somebody fills out a form on your website, or that you meet somebody at an event, or you talk to someone somehow that contacts your office, but it's the moment you now know that that person might want to do business with you. So who can guess the relationship between 70% and this phrase, 0 moment of truth? And it has to do with how buyers have changed. Anybody want to take a wild guess? Any non-shy folks in the audience? I actually love silence. I embrace it. My man said they found us. I see if you wait long enough, somebody will come. Somebody, that's called sales, people. That's called sales. So, he said, they'll find you on the internet. So this is what we know to be true. I didn't make this number up, okay? They say today, on average, 70% of the buying decision is made before 0 moment of truth. 70% of the buying decision made before they call you, before they contact you, before you know they exist, and certainly before they've talked to an agent, a quote, we'll call it a salesperson, but it's an agent in this case. They are 70% home. And this is the great shift. Because let's go back in time for a minute. Let's say it's 20 years ago, and we said, what percentage of the buying decision was made before someone talked to a salesperson or an agent in this case 20 years ago? What do you think it was back then? Anybody have a guess? Come on. I heard 10, I heard 50. This is what we know. It was a lot less. It was a lot less. In fact, if we had to make a guess, probably somewhere around 30%. So 15, 20 years ago at 30%, today we're at 70%. So the question is, for you, for me, certainly for your agencies, where is this number going to be over the next 5, 10, 15 years? Where's it going to go? We know this, it's not going to go back, is it, Mark? It's amazing facial hair you have, by the way, Mark. I am envious, brother. You are looking sharp, my man. Very Texas, I love it. Love it. Now, if this number's true, the question is, what pills do we have to swallow, right? So, for example, one big pill. If this number's true, and I know you might not have these departments, but look at it as such, right? Just put yourself in this position. Which department of your organization has a greater impact on the actual sale? Is it the sales department or is it the marketing department? Which one? You didn't say it was much bigger. Which one? Marketing. Yet notwithstanding, generally speaking, when a company's in financial trouble, the first department that gets laid off is marketing. That's how we pay them back for their goodness. Any marketers in the room? Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that. And generally speaking, when we're looking to grow the business, the first department that gets hired is sales. The question is why? Why is it that way? Well, of course, we've always been doing it that way. But never in the history of the world could you and I definitively track the revenue that we are generating from what you and I today might call marketing. So we're going to have that conversation today. Now, you say, or we say, well, if they've made up 70% of their decision before they contact me, I guess I better have a great website. We certainly agree on that, but how would you define great website today? You as a user, you as a searcher, how would you define it? My man here in the middle. Yeah, how would you define great website? As a shopper today, how would you define it? He says, top of the search. In other words, you can find it. You know, it doesn't matter where you go in the world. Love talking about this subject. You ask different countries, different cultures, how would you define a great web experience today? Whether they say easy to navigate, whether they say not cluttered, it doesn't matter. They're all saying the same thing. I want to find it, but I want to find it quickly, now. And that has impacted your relationship with brick and mortar too. That's why many of you are more impatient when you shop brick and mortar today than you were just a few years ago. I want to find it, and I want to find it quickly. But the question is, what is the it? Because the it could be a variety of things, especially if somebody's coming to you. Are they finding what they are looking for? My quick story. Let's see how good you are. Does anybody know what type of in-ground swimming pool this is? In other words, what is it made out of? Can you make a guess? And you actually have lots of them here in Texas. Yes, that is, my friend, a fiberglass swimming pool, and that's one of roughly about 1,200 fiberglass pools my company, River Pools and Spas, has installed throughout Virginia and Maryland. So I'm a local business owner just like you. Now, you might say, why in the world did they bring a pool guy to Texas? To talk to insurance folks. I think that's fair, and hopefully you'll find out. You started this business in 2001, and just so you know, I'm not a pool guy today. I mean, obviously, this is what I do today. I still am a silent partner with the company. But we opened in 2001. Things were going pretty well for the company up until a particular date and number. What's this date and number represent? Anybody know? Yeah, day of the crash. That bottom number is the Dow, right? Good or bad day for pool guys? Very bad day for pool guys. Because generally speaking, how do most people get the money to buy a pool? I heard somebody say bonuses. No. This is America, guys. We borrow it. Yes. So they get a second mortgage or a home equity loan. And after this day, many were upside down. And so we lost within the first 48 hours, we lost 5 deposits from people that said, hey, we're going to get a pool. They withdrew that deposit. We lost $250,000 in the first 48. And over the coming weeks, it got worse and worse. And by January of 2009, we're going literally over that proverbial edge. And all 3 business consultants that I talked to that month, and I talked to 3, they all said the same thing. Marcus, you should file bankruptcy. But the problem was, if I filed bankruptcy, I was going to lose my home. Some of you owners know this, don't you? My 2 business partners would have lost their homes. My 16 employees would have lost their jobs. So we're going to talk about how we got over that edge today, how we got back, and how we became the largest fiberglass pool builder in the world. But I always have a big fear, right? So I come and I talk to you, and you say, this is pretty fun. I enjoyed your pool story there, Marcus. But you see, here in my agency, and certainly here in Texas, things are a little bit, go ahead and say it, different. What percentage of businesses in the world truly believe they're different? 100%. Nobody's ever said to me, you know, Marcus, we're just like them. If I came to you all in this room and I said, would you say that your agency is just a little bit different than all the other agencies in this room? You would tell me what? Oh yeah, we got us some special sauce. And that's fair, you do, but as Jeff said, the reason why people do business with Jeff is the same reason why they did business with me as a pool guy, isn't it? The reason why anybody would, and this is what we end up doing, the reason why someone would give you their money, let's be frank, that's what happens, is because they feel something about you more than they feel about the other businesses. And what is that feeling? Trust. And that is the one emotion that binds every business in the world together. And it ties all of us together in this room. And that's actually what I'm talking about. Yes, we're talking about change, but the thing that will not change, again, as Jeff so well pointed out, is that if you can become the most trusted voice in your space, you will win. And I want to briefly show you how you can do that. And so my ask for you is that you don't look at this like we're talking about pools, because we're not talking about pools. We're talking about your business. We're talking about psychology. We're talking about emotions. We are talking about trust. So don't put yourself in that corner. You know, I've spoken with so many agents. This is probably like the 25th insurance event that I've done. And it doesn't matter where you go, you have two people in every audience. The first person hears the thing and they say, I don't think it applies. But the second person, they hear it. It doesn't matter what they hear. They say, you know what? I wonder if that's possible. I wonder if we could apply that to our agency. I'm asking you that you consider that today. So, when we were going over the edge at River Pools, I started to read all these fancy phrases like inbound marketing, content marketing, social media, all this stuff. And what I heard in my simple pool guy mind was this: Marcus, if you just obsess over your customers' questions and you're willing to address them, good, bad, or ugly, you just might save your business. And so our core philosophy became 4 simple words, which of course are they ask, you answer, which basically means this. They ask, you answer is a mindset. If anybody has ever asked you a question, you feel it like it's your moral obligation to address it on the front end during the 70%, because you know if you don't address it, if they get it from somewhere else, that's who they're going to give their trust. That's who is going to get their business. They ask, you answer is the willingness to evolve with the way buyers are evolving. It's the willingness to meet them where they are. It's the willingness to sell to them the way they want to be sold to, even though maybe we've been selling a particular way for the last 100 years. That's the essence of they ask, you answer. But here's what's crazy. Most companies don't embrace it. Most instead embrace what we would call ostrich marketing. And ostrich, when it has a problem, what does it do? Go ahead. Sticks its head in the sand, which is actually a total myth, but it's a good example, so we'll use it, right? So it buries its head in the sand because it thinks what's going to happen with the problem? It'll go away, yeah? So, does it ever go away? Never does it? So how does this apply to us? Can you think of a question that you get all the time from potential customers where you said to yourself, you know what, we could never address that on the website. Why don't we wait till we're face-to-face with the individual? Because that's when I win them, when I'm face-to-face. Can't think of one. I'm getting ready to show you a bunch. Because this is what we have found. That when it comes to making buying decisions, whether it's the insurance space or literally B2B, B2C service product, we all make decisions based on 5 major elements. In other words, we want to know 5 things before we engage the company. We want to get a sense for these things before we buy. And we call them the big 5. Can anybody guess? Let's see how well you're paying attention. Give me an example of something, regardless of what you're buying, something you always want to know before you go to the store, before you contact the company, or before you talk to the salesperson. What is something that you always want to have a sense for before you start the process? Anybody go? Yeah, it's funny how quickly, I heard 5 people just now say price. 5 people. So here's the big 5 right here. As buyers, we're obsessed with, we want to know how much is it, at least have a sense for it. What are the negatives with it? How does it compare to that other thing that we're looking at? What is everybody saying about it? And what is the best it? In other words, what is the best thing that we're looking for? And here's what's fascinating. Businesses, you've probably already figured this out, don't like to talk about these 5 things. Yet buyers are obsessed with them. Creates a weird dichotomy. We all want it as buyers, yet we don't give it as businesses. Once again, it's the ostrich. And let me give you a couple examples, and let's address the elephant in the room. Let's address money, shall we? Because it's fun. Now, I need everybody's participation. Are you willing to participate? Say yes. Okay. Some of you said it. In the back, you'll pay for that later, I promise. All right. Now, by show of hands, how many of you have researched how much something costs online let's say over the last year, by show of hands, okay? Anybody not done this living off the grid that I need to be aware of? Okay, it's totally respectable. You can do that in Texas. You can do that. Okay, good. When you're on a website and you can't find anything about cost and price, what is the emotion you experience? Frustration. You're going to say that. That's the F word of the internet, right? So, what gives you the right in that moment to feel frustrated? What gives you the right? Go ahead. What gives you the right? I want it. I'm the buyer. I'm the consumer. I'm trying to make a decision. Now, in this moment of frustration, do you as the buyer, do you as the consumer, do you say to yourself, oh, I'm sure it's on this website somewhere. I'll just keep looking until I find it. I'll just keep looking. Yes, I will. You laugh because what we have found is if we're looking for cost and price information and we can't find it, guess how long we'll stay on a website on average before we leave? Take a guess. Less than 10 seconds. And it's growing shorter by the day. In this moment of frustration, do you as the buyer, do you as the searcher, do you say to yourself, well, that's okay, they're not talking about it. They're a value-based business. I will give them a call on the phone instead. Yeah, you stopped that one too like 5 years ago. Because instead of digging further on that website or calling them, you as the buyer, you as the searcher, you keep doing what? Keep searching. And you search until what happens? You find it. And generally speaking, whoever gives you what you were looking for, they get what? Your business. That's right. And if not your business, at least they get first contact. And I'm sure we could all agree if you had a choice, you would always rather be the first company contacted. Yes or no? We all agree on this. This is how we have evolved. Now I have another important question. Please raise your hands. By a show of hands. How many of you talk a lot about costs, price, rates on your website right now? Hey, Mike man, they did not hear the question. Check the mic, because nobody just raised their hand for me, okay? Good, okay. By a show of hands, how many of you are talking a lot about cost, price, and rates on your website right now? Now, this is interesting, isn't it? Because just a minute ago, we all said, it's my right to know. I do not stay. I do not call. But then I said, do we do it? And you said, you see, Marcus, you don't understand. Things in the insurance space are different. Now you see why we had to talk about it. Now this is the part of the conversation where some of you start to feel frustration and anger towards the pool guy on stage. That's totally okay. You came here to grow, and so did I. I'm okay with discomfort. It's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Now let's justify why we don't do it, shall we? Yeah, because that's fun. That's fun. Now, I need to step off the stage just for a minute. Don't freak out. Now, there's 3 reasons why we don't talk about cost and price. 3 reasons. All businesses are the same, but that doesn't mean we can't address it. So let's address the 3 together really quickly. Anybody, what's the first reason we don't like to talk about cost and price on our websites? Anybody go, come on. Competition. My man said competition. What's your name? Michael. Thank you, Michael. You're a brave soul. Thank you, buddy. So, competition. Now, here's what's interesting about that one. If I came to you and I said, you 2 kids are so cute, by the way. You stood up there and you were so brave. Now, your brother wasn't very obedient, but you were. You were. Poor guy, he says, I don't know what obedient means. You were great. You were great. What was I talking about? Competition. And so, kids distract me. I got 4 of them. So, if I came to your agents and I said, do you have a very good sense as to what your competitors charge, what would they say? Yes, because you ain't dumb. You've done your market research. So here's the big test, or the big question. If you have a very good sense as to what your competitors charge, it therefore means what? They have a great, some of you are like, oh, snap, I never thought about that. Yes. You see, this is the big secret, non-secret. Everybody acts like nobody knows what everybody's charging, when in reality, everybody knows what everybody's charging. Second reason why we don't like to talk about cost and price, go ahead, come on. Makes you uncomfortable. Glad we got one brave soul in the room. Makes you uncomfortable. What, the pool guy or the cost thing? Which one? Both. Mark said, clearly both. Clearly both. So we say, if my rates are more expensive and they see that we're more expensive, we just might do what? Lose the business. But do we have the business? You can't lose that which you don't have. That's called impossible. Now, look at it like this. Just a minute ago, we said, as friends and family at this point, the thing that actually scares us away as buyers and searchers is when companies, what? Go ahead and say it loud. They don't. What's your name, by the way? Holly, you got a great spirit. It just leaves you. And that necklace is so sparkly. I see why you're wearing it, because you just radiate over there, Polly. Now, you said it, Polly, that we all agreed, even though some of us have short-term dementia, we all agreed that the thing that scares us away is when they don't talk about it. Case in point. Now, let's look at psychology. You might say it's different. No, it's not different, guys. Seriously. Let's say you want to go to a new restaurant tonight, okay? You're going to take a loved one, so you want it to be a great experience. Before you go to that restaurant tonight, you're going to do two things other than make a reservation to make sure it's a great experience. What are the two things you're going to do? Quick, what are the two things? Okay, look at the menu and look at reviews. All right, y'all said it really fast. Now, here's your humans. This is great. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If you go to the menu and there is no pricing, are you still going to go? Now, some of you are thinking, is this going on the business card or not? I know how you roll, people. Very, very fair. But this is what we have found, Robert. In that moment, 80% of all people won't go. And it's not because they can't afford it. Do you know the reason why? Because the moment they left it blank, they planted a seed of doubt. And when seeds of doubt exist, inertia occurs, inaction. Another silly example, you might say, silly, yet it's psychology and it applies to your buyers every single day. That same restaurant that you went to, you all have experienced this. You get to the restaurant and you want to order the lobster. But next to the lobster, what do you see? Market price. Yeah. And Andy, the moment you see market price, you have a dilemma, don't you, brother? What's your dilemma? What's the market price? But you're afraid to ask, aren't you, Andy? And here's the reason why he's afraid to ask. Because he knows if he asks and he doesn't buy, then he'll look cheap. And Andy, you are cheap. You are. I only pick on the ones I like. So instead, what do? We order the chicken. And we order the chicken because it's safe and because we know what it is. How many market prices are you putting out there for the world right now? Which, by the way, how much does, before we talk about that, there's one other one. The third reason why you don't talk about cost and price is because you say, well, Marcus, every job is different. Okay. What's your name, by the way? Lindsay. So, Lindsay, if I came to you and I said, Lindsay, just answer yes or no now, okay? You don't have to think too hard about this one, okay? You're like, whew. If I came to you and I said, Lindsay, can you help me understand what would drive the cost of a product or a service up? Could you help me understand that? Or in this case, a rate, let's say. Could you help me understand what would keep the cost of my rates down? Could you explain that? If I came to you, Lindsay, and I said, you know what? You gave me a quote. I really appreciate it. Your competitors also gave me a quote. And there's something interesting happening. Some of you are expensive. Some of you are cheap. There seems like there's a delta in the industry. Can you help me understand why I'm getting these different numbers? Could you help me understand that, yes or no? And of course, how many times over the course of the years have we had to address that question? You're still not sold, and that's okay. So let's analyze it together. How much does a fiberglass pool cost? Does anybody know how much a fiberglass pool costs? 60 grand, could cost 60 grand, could have cost 150 grand. Jeff, we will get you there, sir, I promise. I promise, yeah, it could. So the answer to how much a fiberglass pool costs is the answer for everybody in this room when it comes to how much is it, isn't it? The answer is, well, it depends. And when we embrace this philosophy of they ask, you answer with river pools, when the first piece of content we put on our website was, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? And we say, you know what, it's a lot like buying a car. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of accessories. And here's a list of all those options and accessories that you might choose. And we talked about the different packages. What would drive it up? What would keep it down? We talked about why some companies are expensive, why some are cheap, but we addressed the thing. But because we addressed the thing, something really interesting happened because 6-7 years ago, how many pool guys in the world had addressed this question on their website? 0. And what were they afraid of? I don't want to scare them away. I'm afraid of the competition. Every job is different. Again, we're all in the same business. I said, none of that makes sense. And so because we addressed it, some interesting things happened. When people started calling me now, they started to say, Marcus, this is so interesting. Finally, somebody was willing to address my question. Thank you. Because how much practice do people have in their life buying pools? They don't. Just like most people don't know about how much it's going to cost them for insurance until they start the process. And even once they have it, they don't know how much it's going to shoot up from year to year. They don't know. And the other side of it was this. Within 48 hours of writing that piece of content, if you went online and you searched anything that had to do with how much a fiberglass pool costs, price to install a pool, it's the first one you saw. Now, that's just visitors to the website. You know, organic search, that's not a big deal. So let's see where the rubber meets the road. Now, I want you to stay with me just for a second here. It's going to get a little bit analytical, but I promise it'll be worth it. Here's a list of the number one phrases that generate the most traffic to our website over the next few years. So the number one up top you see is fiberglass pool prices. We had 13,000 people went to Google. They typed that in. They landed on that article, and of them, 30 of them, you see on the right side of the screen, 30 of them filled out a form and said, I want to get a quote from you. So the number you see on the right side are sales appointments. Now, what are the red arrows? The red arrows are indicating phrases that when somebody searched that phrase online, they first landed on our article, that's on the website, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? So you've got roughly 200 plus sales appointments that occurred from people that originally landed on that article, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? So here's the important question. If that article is never written, if we never address the question, how many of those sales appointments ever occur? 0 to almost none. And why? Because they never would have found us. But we did address it. And because we were willing to address it, what happened? Many showed up. Many read. Many filled out a form. Many said, I want to get a quote. Many of them did buy. We know the names of the ones that bought. We know the value of their pools. And I can add up the value of all those pools from all those people and put it on top of one little piece of content that took me 45 minutes to write at my kitchen table one night. And I can tell you, without equivocation, that one little piece of content has generated over $4.5 million. Today, it's actually over $5 million in sales that we would not have had we not been willing to address the question. But did we ever say how much a fiberglass pool cost? Well, that's up for debate. But it doesn't really matter, does it? Because we were willing to address the thing. So am I asking you to put a specific price list on your website, yes or no? No. What am I asking you to do? Anybody, what am I asking you to do? Address it. Teach me. Help me understand. Don't allow me to be ignorant. Here's the thing, folks. When people don't know the differences, when they don't understand what drives cost, they choose the cheapest thing. That's called commoditization. But what caused commoditization was ignorance. And what allowed ignorance? The fact that we weren't willing to talk about it. We all don't like to talk about rates because we're afraid to commoditize, and unintentionally, what we have done is we have commoditized the industry in the process. And it's happening all over the world. I'm asking you to change the way that you think. Because what the buyer wants is to at least have a sense for things. And you can do that. You can do that. Now, I could give you multiple examples of how we did this with river pools, but to make a long story short, because we did what we did, every single night for 2 years, I took all the questions, even the hard ones, and I was willing to address them through text and video on my website. And what happened? Well, we became the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. Today, we get over 600,000 visitors a month. We exploded on the sales side. Now we're manufacturing pools as well, and it saved the company. Today, we have over 60 employees in that company. Now, I told you, you might say, well, that's just a pool guy. That's your business, and that's your choice. Challenging you to be the best teacher in the world. You have questions out there. Somebody is going to give your customer the answer to those questions. Is it going to be you? But the trends and the shifts are happening so fast. And let me give you another example of what's happening right now. I call it the me revolution. And this is affecting you very much right now. We all have changed the way that we search online. You have, I have. Once I mention it, you're going to say, oh, yeah, I have started to do that. For example, the phrase for me, in other words, people searching for something and then adding the words for me, has increased by 130% in the last 2 years alone. So what's an example of that? What's an example of that? Can anybody think of a for me search that you might have done before? Let's see how good you are. Okay? Yeah? Here we go. Here's some common ones. Which car is right for me? What is the best type of investment for me? What type of insurance does my business need? Same concept, same thing. This is how we're searching today, because what is happening is we want to self-select. We want to find a place that will call a spade without bias and allow us to make these types of decisions on our own. Let me give you another example of what I'm talking about, okay? The phrase should I has exploded too over the last couple years, 60%. Now, should I is really fascinating. Do you want to see the most searched should I phrases in the world right now? Say yes, so I feel good. Okay, I feel great, and I'll show you because you asked. Here we go. Now, this says a lot about the human race. Number 1, most searched. What should I order for lunch? Number 2, should I get my hair cut? Number 3, does anybody have teenage daughters in this room? Should I text him? Raise your hand if you got a teenage daughter. Raise your hand if you got a teenage daughter. You got a teenage daughter? Y'all got teenage daughters? Here's a tip for you. If your teenage daughter has to search it, the answer is no. You go home and you tell her that, okay? And then finally, what should I do with my life? People say, I'm afraid machines are going to rule they already rule the world, guys. Now, how does this apply to us? If I came to your site right now, if I was vetting you during that 70%, could I find a tool that would allow me to walk through this process so that I felt that I was in charge? What is the best type of insurance for my business? I'm getting ready to build this huge manufacturing facility right now, okay? I'm in the world of resin and fiberglass. Now, that's just one of my companies, right? So I said, that's what my pool company's doing, but as one of the leaders, one of the things I'm thinking about is insurance. I don't necessarily know, though, right now, everything that's involved with that. The problem is everybody's making me call them just to find out when I would really like to be able to self-select. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about as we close. It's just a little story. So, before I do that, there's a trend that's happening right now that's changing the world. And I mentioned this earlier, and I don't want to forget to mention it today because it's too important. Really quick. By the year 2019, guess what percentage of the content we consume online as buyers is going to be video-based content? And if you were there this morning, you're not allowed to answer. Does anybody have an answer who was not there this morning? Take a guess. My man says 60%. Good guess. The answer is 80%. 80%. Now, good job over there. What does this mean? First thing you should be thinking is, what percentage of your website right now is video? If you're like most agencies, the average is about 5%. Folks, here is a promise to you, and this might be a hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. We're all media companies, whether we want to admit it or not. This is where we are. This is where we're going. Video is the future of the way we sell. The visual sale is the future of the way we sell. Folks, the problem is this. Every agent I've ever talked to said, if I can just get in front of the person, I'm great. I'm good. Everybody says that. But here's the issue. If they're seeing your face and hearing your voice for the first time, when they shake your hand, we have failed them. Because that relationship should have started already. Another stat along these lines, super interesting. Take another guess, all right? Polly, let's see if your friend over there gets this one, all right? Social video generates what percentage more shares than text and images combined? If you're there this morning, you can't say the answer. Anybody have a guess? Come on, take a guess. I heard 90%, I heard 100%. The answer, my friends, is didn't get that one, did you? I got you that time. 1,200%. So what does that mean? Well, here's what it means if we're being honest, and we got to be honest with ourselves. We don't have social media unless we're doing video. This is the way people want to learn. That's the essence of They Ask You Answer. Getting over ourselves and saying, the buyer wants to learn visually, so I am going to adjust. I'm going to learn to be on camera. I'm going to hire that videographer. I'm going to train my team how to be comfortable on camera. Whatever it takes to adjust to the digital age, that's where we are. But this way now they've seen that face, they've heard that voice, and they say, I know that guy. I trust that guy, that gal, before you ever meet. Now back to that one story that I want to share with you. The ultimate user experience. So this is a photo of me and my daughter. So as you know, I speak and I travel all over the world. It's the greatest job ever. And my daughter Danielle, she took 6 months off high school and she traveled with me all over the world. If you ever get a chance to travel the world with a child, everything will change for you and that child. Everything will change. And she was never the same after we did that together. Because now she's getting ready to go to college in August. And of course, she has started 2 businesses. And she's getting ready to start her 3rd business. And her 3rd business that she's going to start is what would be someone that does makeup for weddings and events in the local area. And she's going to school in Hawaii, okay? She's going to school in Hawaii. And she comes to me and she says, Dad, I need to build a website for my new business. I said, okay, great. Let's go to Wix.com. Now, some of you have heard of Wix.com, but we go to Wix.com, okay? And in the back, just keep it off iMac for a minute because we're going to rush through these. Now, as soon as she gets there, there's no distractions. Now, imagine how this applies to your business because you could do the same thing, but pay attention to how Danielle worked through this. So Danielle gets there, and it says to her, without distraction, I want to create a site for myself or client. And Danielle says, well, I want to create it for myself. And so she clicks myself. And then it pops up another sentence that says, it should be a what type of site? And she says, oh, it should be a beauty and wellness site. And she's starting to get excited. And she's only seconds into her interaction with Wix.com. And then Wix says, you know what? We can create a website for you, and it only takes a few questions, and within minutes, we're going to have you a new website. And she's like, Dad, this is amazing. I'm like, okay, we'll keep going. And then it says, what's your website for? And she's allowed to find the one, which is she's a makeup artist. That's what she's really good at. That's why she's studying art in college. And so she puts in makeup artist, and she's slowly getting more and more excited because she's taking ownership as she goes. And then they say, does your website need any of the following features? And she's like, oh my goodness, yes, I want to sell online, I want to take bookings, and so she can do that. And then it asks her, what is the name of your business? She's like, Dad, I hadn't thought about that. But Wix knows something. The moment you put the name of your business in there, you are taking ownership not just of the business, but of that website. So she puts her name in there. And then all of a sudden, Wix says, hi, I'm artificial intelligence. I'm going to build your site for you right now. But it's talking to her like a human. And it says, by the way, what style site would you like to have? And Danielle gets to pick the style of the site that she wants. And then they say, okay, well, now I'm going to make your homepage for you. And she's literally just waiting in anticipation. And as she waits, it talks about how it's adding different sections of the website. This whole thing has taken like 4 minutes. And then finally, of course, pops out a homepage that says Natural Beauty by Danielle. And she looks at it. She says, Dad, this is awesome. Now, do you think she was swiping a credit card within the next 5 minutes for Wix.com? Because she had made the choices. She was the salesperson. But they had enabled her to walk down that road. So that's our challenge. Which one of you is going to do this in the insurance space? Don't make up that excuse that you're too small, because you're not too small. Daggone it, we were one of the smallest pool companies out there. Nobody knew who we were. I couldn't afford to hire anybody. I couldn't do any of those things. The great thing about pressure, though, it gives us a tremendous opportunity to grow. My challenge to you is very, very simple. Let's obsess over the way people want to buy, the questions that they're asking. Let's be willing to address them through text, through video. Let's embrace technology, even the messy parts that come with it, head on, because it's not going to go away. Let's make it possible for people to self-select. And if we do that, everything will change. That's all I got. You have been awesome. Thank you very much. By the way, if anybody, you're awesome. If anybody wants a copy of the deck, because sometimes, you can't write with like brownies in your face. So if anybody wants a copy of the deck, I will send it to you. All you have to do is email me personally, and I'll just send you the deck. Just don't share it online. That's all I ask. You've been really, really wonderful. And the kids were great. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Bob.
Appreciate it. Marcus, thank you. Great information for us to take notice of. The Page Island Award. Many of you in this room are not old enough to remember Page Island. Page was an agent from Stanton, Texas, who worked tirelessly on an issue many of us never think about, and that's crop insurance. Page worked through our national ranks to serve a number of years as chairman of the IIAT National Crop Insurance Committee. He truly epitomizes what this award is all about: service to our industry and political involvement. Unlike other awards presented annually at this conference, the Page Island Award has only been presented 5 times in the 13 years since its inception. This award is presented to someone who has dedicated their efforts and livelihood to working with state and federal legislators in an effort to protect our future and our livelihood. Our recipient this year has been a true servant leader. in our industry, his community, and in the business in Texas for over 40 years. During his career, he became an influential voice in Austin and also in Washington. As a longtime member of IIAT, he is a past board member and president of IIAT and the IIAT Services Board. The number of committees and task forces that he has served on are countless. He is known for following through on his commitments and takes his volunteer leadership roles extremely seriously. He served on the IIAT Legislative Committee from its inception. He has chaired the IIAT Impact Board of Trustees and has also served nationally on our InsurePAC Board of Trustees. This is a bittersweet day because while we honor this year's recipients for his years of service, I also know that sometimes you have to put a workhorse out to pasture. This year's recipient has turned a page in his career. And while he assures me he's not totally going away, he is taking a well-deserved break from the daily grind of politics. It is an honor for me to present this year's Page Island Award to my good friend Bob Shepard, Board Chairman of Shepard Walton King Insurance Group.
Lead everyone, thank you very much. This has all been a labor of love for me for many years. Things are good in the insurance industry right now, but as I look out and see my good friend Wally Goodman and others, it hadn't always been that way. The work comp fights that we had to fight for many years, you couldn't find a work comp carrier in this state with a shotgun. And of course, that's not the case today. But I truly believe, and Mark Ray said this in the impact, we always have to be vigilant about it. You always have to work. You have to support those that feel the same way we do. We're blessed today, I believe, with a state government that believes the way that we do, but that may not always be the case. So I would encourage everybody to stay engaged, certainly. Please give to Impact. I know we've, as Jill said earlier, we've extended the time period a little more for this year, so if you haven't given, please do so. And if you have, please reach in your pocket and give today. I appreciate this award very much. It means a great deal to me, and I always have to say thanks to my wife who's been here every step of the way. Thanks, Ann.
I've gotten to know Bob over the last 15 years, working with him on various projects with different organizations, and everything Lee said about Bob is absolutely correct. I'd like to add that Bob's just a really good guy, too. Congratulations, Bob. Okay, now it is time for our Drex Foreman Award presentation. In 1925, the Texas Association of Insurance Agents hired Drexel G. Foreman as the first paid secretary of the state association. Drex served the association in that capacity for 32 years and became a major figure in the development of the Texas insurance industry. He was motivated by his fierce loyalty and dedication to Texas agents. In 1968, the board of directors started an award in his honor that would be presented to a dedicated individual throughout his or her career, made exceptional contributions to the industry. The first recipient of the Drex Foreman Award was none other than Joe Vincent, and Drexel Foreman would receive the award bearing his name in 1973. As you look at the past recipients, it stands out that this is a group of real leaders in our industry. Obviously, they were extremely capable and effective in their careers, But what really sets them apart is they felt a debt of gratitude that called them to action to give back to the association and to the industry, which had been such a blessing in their lives. Would all previous Drex Foreman Award recipients please stand now to be recognized? It cannot be proven, but our recipient this year probably knows more independent agents in the state of Texas than any other person on the planet. And when I say knows them, I don't just mean knows who they are, but rather knows them on the first name basis and has had numerous conversations with them, and in many cases has worked on projects with them. In this same way, our recipient this year knows every Drex Foreman Award recipient in this room, as well as the past 21 IIAT board chairs and the past 3 IIAT executive directors. Our recipient hails from a small West Texas town that claims to be the home of 3,000 friendly people and a few old soreheads. Undoubtedly, it was her upbringing in that environment that prepared her to excel at IIAT, where she would run into lots of friendly people and, yes, a few old soreheads. Our recipient's skill, set, energy, and passion, exceed the requirements for the job, yet she leaves nothing on the sidelines. It is her personal integrity and a love for what she does that exponentially increases her effectiveness and positive influence on our industry. We've all heard it said many times, insurance is a people business. It's no wonder that the consummate people person has been able to have such a profound effect on our association and our industry. In case you have not figured it out, our recipient this year is Cindy Kwai. Cindy was raised in Stanton, Texas until she went off to the big city of Abilene to attend McMurray College, where she met her husband, Rick Kwai. After graduation, Cindy worked in various industries, which included positions at Rice University, ConocoDuPont. Cindy was hired at IIAT as an administrative manager in 1997 by Ernie Stromberger, and is currently working under Marriott Peters as Director of Membership Experience. Cindy holds the Certified Meeting Planner designation as well as the Certified Association Executive designation. Marriott's response when asked why Cindy is so good at what she does was simply, she cares more than anyone else. It is my personal observation that over the last 21 years, the association has benefited greatly by Cindy's innate ability to get people involved and to keep people involved. Cindy and Rick have 2 children, Kelly McCarty and David Kwai, and 4 grandchildren, Harry, George, Anna, and Merrill. Isn't it fitting that on the 50th anniversary of the award that was named after the first paid secretary of the Texas Association, this year's award goes to another IIAT employee for much the same reason, demonstrating extraordinary dedication and passion in the promotion and expansion of our association and our industry. Cindy, would you please come up and accept the Drex Foreman Award?
Well, oh, I'm so glad we've got lights coming right in my face so I can't see you guys. Do what? Am I supposed to do something?
Hang on. Sorry, I missed my cue here. Oh. I'm supposed to call up a video that we're going to show in Cindy's honor.
I'm willing to bet everybody in this audience has actually seen a video of those two boys before because I show them constantly. Well, we have one rule at the association, and that is that I can never have access to a microphone. At this point that I've been planning on all my life, I had a couple of songs I was going to sing. I've gone into interpretive dance to be ready for something like this, but I will just say thank you very much. I do not feel that this is an honor I should receive. I think I love every person in this room, and I love what I do. I love my family. I love our members. I love my boss. I work with the best group of people, and we have such an environment of laughter, fun, dedication, and we just get things done. And we do it all for you guys. I hope y'all realize that. There's a little bit of money involved, I realize, but not much of it. So thank you. What? Oh, one other thing, I do want to make sure, Bob, I'm sorry you're being put out to pasture, but I hope everybody here understands. I'm not retiring. I'm not going out to pasture, okay?
She was almost speechless. I've never seen that before, Cindy. Anyway, thank you very much. Congratulations, Cindy. Well deserved. I love working with Cindy, even though she called me a blonde chickie babe on my first day at the office. But I guess she's forgiven my entrance. Anyway, thank you all for being here. My name is Marriott Peters. If I haven't met you, thank you for joining us for a couple days. It's really a critical time that we get together. We learn, we grow, we stretch. Hopefully you'll take away some great ideas for your organizations. And Jeff, I look forward to working with you this next year. But these events don't happen without a lot of work. So I'd like to thank our staff. We've got a great crew. If you're here on staff, can you please stand so we can thank you for all your work? It's a great crew. You know all of them. We will be next year at the Gaylord in Grapevine. Have a safe trip home. If you stay on, enjoy the pool. Some people are already floating. I've seen pictures. So be safe, enjoy, make smart choices.